Section 4, the validity of the public debt shall not be questioned. So a citizen can't question the public debt.
And
that's right in Section 4 of the 14th Amendment.
Right.
Now, in the third section, the one part down there, no person shall be a senator, representative, blah, 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 in support of the Constitution, shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same, or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. Well, you can only vote if you're in rebellion to the United States, and they take an oath, the courts take an oath on the Constitution and the 14th Amendment that if they rule in our favor, we are the enemy. They are now given aid or comfort to the enemy if they rule for us and against the government. That's basically what that says right there.
Yeah, well, basically
Section 3.
We've lost this. Yeah, that's exactly what I had read. But I mean, we're kind of lost in all that. Can you straighten everything out in a straight line and tell us what that it really means?
We're screwed.
well, we kind of know that, but
yeah.
but the the gymnastics and the manipulation of the syntax is incredible.
Oh yeah. So and remember, we're dealing with past masters of the art of law, and they're all lawyers. And in fact, they were all brought in through the crown, and that every governor has to be an attorney. And if you go back in the history of your state, look at how many governors were attorney. There was only one governor in North Carolina that was not an attorney. All the rest were attorneys.
How come he got lucky, do you know?
I don't know what happened. But there was only one period of time that North Carolina did have a governor that was not an attorney. I don't think he lasted long.
I would think not.
I didn't go in to find out who it was. Just that I know, in going through attorneys, there was a blank for that year. There was no attorney for the governor.
All right, let me hold you right there. Let's tell everybody you're listening to The Informer on the Grassy Knoll, and I think we've not done enough justice to his website. If you go to let's see, Against the Grain, that's what, atgpress.com. You'll go to the index and you can hit him from there. You can also go to my website and you can click on the upcoming shows, which obviously I-Man's in, or you can go to the audio archives, of which 3 of his shows are there, and click on any of that to get him there. Anything else, though, I-Man, about the website and what you put up there?
Pardon?
Want me to repeat that?
Oh, I thought you were talking to the audience.
I was, but I mean, now I'm addressing you. Is there anything else you want to tell the folks about what they can find there? And also, I guess we shouldn't short shrift James Montgomery either, right?
Yeah, he's right on the next column over. Knowledge is freedom. And he really, if you read a lot of that, you'll see the questions and answers that he had answered for a lot of people. Plus, he's got a lot of other stuff in there, the Vatican connection to the United States and everything.
Oh, boy, I tell you what, yeah, we get most of the emails that are critical when we talk about the precious Vatican.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what? I tell you what, you never read Eric John Phelps' works, right, or Charles Wilcox?
No.
All right. And they are definitely all over the Vatican and the Jesuits for what they have done throughout the centuries, although their footprints have been very well covered up. But right. You guys hit it from another angle, didn't you?
Yeah. Now, the other man that does very well on this is Emmanuel Josephson. He wrote a book called The Federal Reserve, Conspiracy, and Rockefeller, Their Gold Corner. And I think it was in 1968. I don't know if you can get this. It was 1968 by Chedney Press, and I'm not sure if I have a library number.
An ISBN? I
don't see a library. Oh yeah, there's a card. No, Library of Congress card number is 68-29455. And he goes in and explains the whole thing from the Vatican and the king and the Jesuits and what they did. And the Jesuits were sent across the world to knock out any semblance of any government that would be a republic.
You know what? This is so good that you state this, because obviously you've not read the other books, and I'm a proponent or an exponent, I guess, of what was written. It changed my thinking. But you guys, yourself and James, have been on, looking for something else and have been drawn to the same information.
Uh-huh.
So in other words, if, you're not in our camp, so to speak, and that's great, but you found out about this through another avenue,
right,
and you found out what we found out too. And I'll tell you this much. I get some emails from Catholics who are all up and down, my back. And it's like, well, look, why don't you go check out the history of the Vatican,
right,
and the Jesuits, which is out there, but I guess especially in the 20th century, and especially after World War II, the footprints of their perfidy and their instigations are gone.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it might be ironic, but I was brought up Catholic. I was an altar boy and all this, and, I fell out when I started realizing that something was screwed up with the church.
Yeah.
And then when I found all this stuff that was going on and how bad the Vatican really was during the Crusades and everything, I mean, gee, the more people were killed over religious arguments than any of the other world wars that we've had.
Exactly. Moving right along, though, I guess you wanted to come back to something we talked about, and that's this bit about double jeopardy,
yeah,
and pleading out to the state.
What the book here said, all right, is they're talking about Brock versus North Carolina. It's 1953 now. The state court had declared a mistrial and ordered a continuance of the case in order to permit the state to deal with some of its own witnesses who had unexpectedly refused to testify on pleas of self-incrimination. Citing the Palco case, the court held that the double jeopardy provision was not incorporated into the 14th Amendment. And this particular action was not shocking enough to make the trial unfair. Well, gee, tell me what is.
Mm-hmm.
In 1967, the court declined to decide whether or not double jeopardy provision of the Fifth Amendment would be extended to the states. Although it had granted certiorari to decide the question on a full hearing of the case, it agreed that the state action did not amount to double jeopardy and dismissed the writ as improvidently granted. See Chayos versus Indiana. Since one is not in jeopardy until his trial actually begins, indictment for a crime does not put a person in jeopardy, and therefore repeated indictments do not constitute double jeopardy. Well, these are lawyers that run the country through the crown to keep the people under control, and they're the ones that write all these stupid laws, and this makes no sense at all.
Well,
moreover, the government can appeal the dismissal of an indictment, and such an appeal gives the Supreme Court an opportunity to pass upon the constitutionality of the criminal legislation, which the lower court holds unconstitutional. See discussion to the note to Muskrat. It does not constitute double jeopardy to try a person each time he commits the same offense over again.
All right, now, hold on. Explain that.
All right. They explain it. Thus, a conscientious objector who had served a prison sentence for refusing to register for the draft may be tried and convicted again if he continues in his refusal. The same is true of a person who is punished for contempt for refusing to give testimony. Where, however, a witness is asked to identify a person as a communist and in reply refuses to identify anyone, she is guilty of only one contempt, despite a refusal to answer the same question 11 times asked with regard to other persons.
Well, does that mean that she would be guilty 11 times?
No, she can't be, she wouldn't be put in double jeopardy, and she can't be asked the same question 11 times and be cited for 11 contempts of court.
All right, so it's, okay, so why is there a difference between the two incidents?
It's because they say, and what they write, and what the Congress, which is, at least 75% lawyers, it's how they get around the true law of the lawgiver, which is the Lord, and this is man's law and mammon, and he said, take your lumps. It's your problem.
All right, well, I'm looking at
me.
I'm looking at the conscientious objector, right?
Right.
Who they use as a first example.
Yeah. So if he was tried and convicted and he served, say, a year in jail, and then he goes out and he refuses to register again for the draft,
they can hit him again.
They can hit him again. And they say it's not double jeopardy because it's a different offense.
All right, now we look at the person.
To me, it's the same offense. It's just a different time period. That's all that changed.
All right, so the time period might be critical here because the person who refuses to identify anybody,
right?
If she continues, or he, well, in this case, I guess it's a she, but if the individual continues to not want to identify anybody, they're in the court at the same time in the same time period,
right?
And so that isn't seen as another offense,
right? So they can only charge her for one time to the enemies thereof. Well, you can only vote if you're in rebellion to the United States, and they take an oath, the courts take an oath on the Constitution and the 14th Amendment that if Section 4, the validity of the public debt shall not be questioned. So a citizen can't question the public debt.
And
that's right in Section 4 of the 14th Amendment.
Right.
Now, in the third section, the one part down there, no person shall be a senator, representative, blah, 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 in support of the Constitution, shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same, or given aid or comfort. They rule in our favor. We are the enemy. They are now given aid or comfort to the enemy if they rule for us and against the government. That's basically what that says right there.
Yeah, well, basically
Section 3.
We've lost this. Yeah, that's exactly what I had read. But I mean, we're kind of lost in all that. Can you straighten everything out in a straight line and tell us what that it really means?
We're screwed.
well, we kind of know that, but
yeah.
but the the